kicks, though. I like the way he keeps touching the legs, but because when he lets the hands go, he's kind of overextending and he's letting...
There are fighters who learn the game, and then there are fighters who feel like they were carved for it. Men who don't enter combat just to compete. They enter to shift the entire atmosphere.
Zayev in a whole lot of bother. Hammer fist raining down. Hurting may stop it if Zayev doesn't defend. And he does stop it.
In the coastal heat of Senegal, one of those men was being shaped long before the MMA world ever heard his name. Long before the sold-out arenas, long before one championship, and long before the viral clips, there was a young man molded by hardship, strengthened by tradition, and driven by a hunger born from survival. That man is Oumar Reug Reug Kane, a heavyweight who doesn't just win fights, he overwhelms, breaks, and destroys expectations. Every time he walks toward the cage, there's a different kind of tension in the air, the feeling that something powerful is about to happen.
He moves the pound away. Galani, nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's good.
To understand Reug Reug, you have to understand where he came from. Kane grew up in a small coastal town in Senegal, a place where fishing was life and life was never easy. He was raised in a large family that depended on the ocean for survival, and when the waters weren't generous, the struggle hit hard. In that world, physical strength wasn't just respected, it was currency. But Senegal had something even more powerful: traditional wrestling. Wrestling wasn't a hobby, it was culture, pride, and a rite of passage. Entire communities gathered to watch warriors compete, and young men dreamed of becoming champions before they ever dreamed of fame or fortune. Kane stepped into that culture with purpose. By 16, he left his home village to train full-time in one of Senegal's most respected wrestling communities. Long days in the sand sharpening technique, long nights strengthening the mind, and years of discipline turned him into a force no one could handle. He didn't just win, he dominated. Tournament after tournament, opponent after opponent, he built a reputation that spread across the country. People didn't just fear his strength, they feared the inevitability behind it. Eventually, the MMA world took notice. In 2019, Kane made his transition to mixed martial arts, and within minutes of his debut, it became clear that people weren't watching a prospect. They were watching a problem. There was no hesitation, no slow start, no feeling out process. Kane bulldozed forward, slammed his opponent with terrifying force, and unleashed ground and pound that sounded like someone dropping cinder blocks onto the mat. The referee dragged the opponent out of danger. The arena erupted, and just like that, Reug Reug had arrived on a global stage. One debut, one destruction, and one clear message to the heavyweight division. One championship debut, same power, bigger stage. The hype wasn't hype, it was evidence. One championship saw what Kane brought to the table and understood instantly that he was dangerous. They didn't give him an easy matchup. They gave him Alain Ngalani, a heavyweight built like a bodybuilder with knockout power in every limb. For most fighters, that matchup would spark caution. Reug Reug doesn't have a cautious bone in his body. The moment the bell rang, he closed the distance, grabbed Ngalani, slammed him to the canvas, and hammered away until the referee stepped in. A first-round finish, a viral statement, and a warning to every heavyweight watching. The division had changed. Win over Patrick Schmid. Short notice, big statement. Then came Patrick Big Swiss Schmid on only 24 hours notice. Schmid was taller, heavier, and more experienced in stand-up fighting, but none of that mattered. Kane rushed forward, threw bombs with reckless precision, smashed Schmid against the fence, and tossed him to the ground as if he weighed nothing. His ground and pound looked less like punches and more like someone dropping heavy tools onto the mat. The referee stepped in again, saving Schmid from further damage. Another TKO, another destruction, and another heavyweight, wondering if anyone could withstand this man's pressure. The controversial loss. A moment that changed everything. Every rising fighter meets a storm, and Kane's storm arrived in the form of Kirill Grishenko. The fight was gritty, filled with wrestling exchanges and heavy clinch battles. But everything changed in a single controversial moment. At the end of round 2, Grishenko threw a punch right as the bell rang, or possibly a fraction after. It connected cleanly. Kane collapsed. The referee stopped the fight. A TKO loss instantly split the MMA world in half. Some said it was legal, others called it late. Some accused Kane of exaggeration, while others defended him. But for Kane, the loss became a turning point. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a lesson in evolution. When Kane returned, he didn't just fight, he evolved. Against undefeated Jasur Mirzamukhamedov, he fought with maturity and control. He mixed smart wrestling with clean striking, used pressure without rushing, and dictated the entire match. A unanimous decision win proved that he was no longer relying solely on raw power. He was becoming a complete fighter. Then came Marcus Buchecha Almeida, a legend in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and one of the worst stylistic matchups imaginable. Experts predicted Kane would be submitted. Instead, Kane stuffed takedowns, controlled scrambles, and neutralized every threat. He flipped the narrative, proving he wasn't just athletic, he was strategic. All of it led to the biggest fight of his life, the One Heavyweight World Championship against Anatoly Malekin, undefeated, powerful, and one of the most dominant champions in the promotion. But Kane didn't hesitate. He attacked from the opening minutes, taking Malekin down repeatedly and overwhelming him so completely that Malekin grabbed the ropes in desperation, earning a yellow card. But the moment that shocked the world came when Kane landed a clean left hand that dropped the undefeated Russian. 5 brutal rounds later, the judges announced what nobody thought possible. Oumar, Reug Reug, Kane had become the One Heavyweight World Champion, the first African fighter to ever claim the belt. The man behind the monster. Outside the cage, Kane is a completely different person. He's calm, humble, deeply rooted in Senegalese culture, and proud of the journey that shaped him. He balances the life of a warrior with the life of a family man, showing a level of discipline and humility that only elevates his legend even further. Can he be UFC champion? And now the question the world keeps asking. Could Reug Reug come to the UFC and become heavyweight champion? Some believe he's ready right now. Some believe he needs more refinement. Others think his power alone could flatten contenders. But everyone agrees on one thing. If Reug Reug ever walks into the UFC octagon, the heavyweight division will feel the tremor long before the first punch lands.